Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Enuma, your certified abundant life coach. I'm back again today with yet another video. How have you all been doing? I know it's been a minute, but pardon me. Life has been a bit crazy lately, so I had to play catch up on a lot of things. But here I am back again. Yes. So yes, happy fall, happy new week, and we are almost ending the month of September, which if you all know, is the month of suicide awareness. September is a month of suicide awareness, and I know there's been a lot of challenge. Um, Things out there to do to go out in the community, doing 5K walks and all whatnot, just in memory of suicide awareness and just trying to create more awareness out there in the society, in the community, so that people can be more alert and more conscious of the things happening around them, in terms of families and you know, people at work, your colleagues, and just we've heard a lot of stories, or we might know someone in our life who has passed away from suicide. And it is a real thing, it is a real conversation that we're having out there, and we're just trying to create more awareness and break into the society for people to be more alert and be more conscious of their surroundings. So yes, without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into it. So yes, in honor of suicide awareness month, I had to do this video before September was over. But yeah, I was having a group discussion at work, with my patients the other day, and I talked to them and I wanted to hear some of their opinions and some of the things they think could be done, in terms of preventing, creating more awareness for suicide and prevention. And I had this one of my patients, and he stood up to me and he was like, I don't think there's anything you can really do, So that kind of struck me, and I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, yes, he feels like the people who actually want to commit suicide are going to go ahead and do it regardless. And I was like, but there is a way we can, prevent that from happening, for people to get to that point where they just want to end it all. A series of events must have taken place in their lives, over a period of time for them to actually get to that point. But if we're able to catch it early, from the get-go, or, sometime before they get to that point, we can actually, I believe that we can actually, stop it or prevent that from happening. And he was bent over and was like, nope, a man or woman who is really determined will go ahead and finish the process. They're not gonna say anything. They don't want you having to look at them as weak. They don't want to be seen as a failure. They just would rather just keep it to themselves and just go do it. And I was like, I beg to differ, and we're just gonna agree to disagree at that point. But it made me really think, and I was like, what if, of course he does have a point, but my own I want to believe, and I still believe that there is a way around it. And I feel like prevention is possible. There is a way to be able to break in if you are made aware of the signs, the early signs of suicide. People don't just wake up one morning and just decide, oh, I'm going to commit suicide. They have been through maybe a loss in their life, a ton of events that have just created a lot of ripple effect and gotten them to that point. But if we as individuals are educated and we are self-aware, aware of ourselves, our surroundings, environment, and all, we might be able to catch this early sign. So yes, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you, or sharing some of the points that I have here on ways that we can, early signs and ways that we can prevent and be there for someone who is going through depression, anxiety, or just a lot of overwhelmness and trauma in their lives, that ways that we can be there for them emotionally and physically, and just create enough support around them so that they're able to pull themselves back up and not get to that point where they think the solution is to end it all. So yes, the first point I have here is speaking up. So this would go to people who are actually dealing with a lot of stresses in their life, distress, and they just feel like the solution is to end it. But before you get to that point, something led you to get to that point where you feel like your life is too much for you to bear. The situation at hand is too much for you to handle. So what do you do at that point when you're already beginning to feel overwhelmed, or there's a lot of series of events happening that it's just been one bad thing onto another, and you just can't hold it down any longer? The best thing I would suggest is to speak up. Don't hold it all in. Don't feel like speaking up is going to be seen as a sign of weakness. No, speaking up could actually get you could actually be one step closer to your breakthrough, or coming out of that situation by speaking up and telling the right people. It could be talking to a trusted family member, could be a trusted friend. Even at work, you could find a colleague who you both can bond to that extent, and you can share some things that are just let it out. Share those big burdens that are are weighing you down. You don't have to keep it all in and just struggle and die in silence. No, help is around the corner if you actually go out looking. And yeah, it doesn't have to be you sharing all your problems with everybody. It just has to be one or two people that you can trust and you can rely on, and they can be there for you and just create space for you to hear you out. And just talking would ease off a lot of stress and tension, trust me. But we have to be able to be vulnerable and just open up about what is really going on, and not bottle up all inside. The second point I have here is we as a society, we as a community, breaking that stigma of mental health. Some people don't believe that mental health is a real thing. Some believe that it's mental health has this stigma that, oh, people look at you that you're no good. In the spiritual sense, people feel like, oh, there are some powers and forces after you, that you're just cursed, or you're this black sheep in the family, or whatnot. There's just a lot of myths out there about mental illness, and I want to reassure you that mental illness is just like any condition out there, medical condition. The same way you have hypertension, diabetes, cancer, is the same way you have mental illness. It's an illness of the mind. So yes, it is a real thing. It is a serious conversation that we need to have and continue to have, as a society, until we are able to break that stigma, where people can feel comfortable and find safe spaces where they can speak up and, voice out their struggles, and, just break that barrier that, has forced a lot of people to shut down and close off and, not be open about what they are struggling with. Mental illness is not a sign of weakness. It's just like any other condition out there, and it's just different in its own way, just unique in its own way. But it can it can be combated. It can be, there could be a way out in, in dealing or handling with cases of mental illness. And, awareness is the big factor here, creating that awareness, creating safe spaces and breaking that stigma in the society so people are able to feel comfortable to share about those struggles that they're having. Another point I have here is, changing our mindset, which kind of ties back to the second point I just gave. If we're able to change our mindset and not see it as a sign of weakness, but rather as a sign of strength, where, people around us that are struggling with these conditions are able to come to us and be vulnerable and open up about these struggles they're having. It's actually a strength that I recognize in them. If I see someone who is speaking up or is seeking for help, I see that as a strength, because they could have decided to be quiet about it and not say anything, and behind closed doors, they're struggling and they're just in a really deep, dark place that if only they were able to just speak up, they could find the help, they could find the support, whatever it might be, whatever stressor, it could have been maybe alienated from them. But because some, have this whole mindset and they don't want to be seen or viewed a certain way, they rather just bottle in and hide that side of them away from the public eye. But then they suffer in silence, and if we don't catch it on time, if someone doesn't come to their rescue to help them, they could go, as far as taking their own lives. And these are things that we want to be able to challenge as a society and put, an end to it, or at least limit the amount or percentage of suicide cases that we experience every year in the States and in the world in general. Another point I have here is, you as an individual, if you know you are battling with mental illness, if you know that you have a condition, or even though you're undiagnosed and you don't really have a name or a title as to what is actually going on, it's okay to go out there and seek that help. Either you visit your therapist, find a therapist near you. We have so many platforms now that has opened up, since the COVID happened. BetterHelp is one of them. And, if you don't know, if you have insurance, you could always contact your insurance agent and just speak to them and ask if they do offer, counseling services and all of that, at a discounted rate. And you'll be surprised that, even your employer might have like a employee assistance program where you can get such benefits, and they can pay for maybe a few therapy sessions or counseling sessions, what have you. And you just give it a try, give it a shot, and just start from there. If not, if you feel like it's something that needs it's more pretty urgent and needs emergency, like you're at that point where you're crashing out and you're scared that anything might happen at the moment, you can just go to the ER, your nearest ER, and check yourself in. And trust me, you would find help. You would be able to find some resources, be able to speak to a doctor, and get that assistance that you need. Also, other ways I talked to my group the other day, I mentioned coping skills. And coping skills is very important. What have you been doing so far, to be able to deal with the challenges and stresses in life? Do you have a good support system? Do you have interests, hobbies that you're involved in? Do you have community? These are things that we need to start asking ourselves those questions and be really honest about it, to know, be honest with yourself to know if what you've been doing has been helping you so far, and how, and if it hasn't, what can you tweak or change in your life, to bring back that joy, or that feelings of peace or rest or stability in your life. You have to be take an active role, in ensuring that you're meeting your needs, that you know what you actually need, and you have the resources around you to actually meet those needs. If you don't have enough hobbies, create new hobbies, find new interests, things that that can help you relieve stress, tension. Even if it's going to the gym, you can just start once or twice a week. Make that effort, go out to the gym around you, or even just take a walk if you can't afford the gym. Take a walk every day or every other day, 30 minutes walk. Go out, get some sunshine, interact with people. Don't just stay in the house, closed up from the outside world. That would rather more sink you back in that dark place that you're trying to get yourself out. So the best thing is going out, finding resources, and just being an active, participant in trying to get the help that you need, and find community out there. It could even be in the church if you're a Christian or someone who has a faith-based belief. You find a church around you that you can join and participate in, and just be more actively involved, and just surround yourself with more like-minded people around you that can help you when you're going through a lot of stressors or just challenges, or you might just need that support system just to just keep you going each day. The world is full of a lot of crazy things happening now. Things are changing, and we all need that strong support system to be able to pull through in our day-to-day life. I also have here, which I mentioned, finding that healthy support system. So yes, you find your interests, you find your hobbies, then you also go ahead and find great support system. It could be support groups around you. I told my group the other day, I said, you can go, if you can't find, if you feel like, okay, maybe you've recently moved, or you're in a new location, or you just are not aware of the resources around you, just go on the internet, type it up, whatever it is that you're interested in or you're looking for. I bet you Google will have some great resources out. If you can just grab your gadget and just go online and just search, you will be amazed what you can find. There are just different groups out there with different interests, and you'll be so surprised what you find out there once you go looking. Another thing is being aware, self-aware. I did mention that, of what has worked for us, what is no longer working, and changing up some things in our life. If there were old habits that we've been doing for years and it's getting nowhere, then what's the point trying to continue doing the same thing? They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So yeah, change things in your life, lifestyle changes, diets, working out, in getting yourself more involved in community. There are just a ton of things out there to do. Don't stay back, or put yourself in a bad place where it's hard for you to speak up, or get out there to seek the help that you need. Get out, and you'll be amazed how much resources and help that you can find. Also, taking accountability for yourself. This is not a time where we just sit back, fold our hands, and just expect help to come meet us. No, we have to be able to take responsibility for ourselves, our actions, and what we are doing, and be an active participant in seeking that help that we need out, to get. And also, you have to be able to be honest with yourself when you feel like the things you've done are not helping anymore, and tweak those things that needs to be tweaked, and make adjustments, and then continue pushing yourself one day at a time. Another point I had here, I put this point here because I realized that not everyone around us might be healthy, in terms of family, friends, relationship, or even colleagues at the workplace. So you also have to be aware of, being conscious to know who is the right person to talk to. You don't want to talk to someone who would dismiss you or brush you off or not take you seriously, or kind of make you feel like, oh, just come off it, like you're always complaining, you always, you're not the only one with problems. You don't want to be around those kind of people, especially when you're at a point, maybe you're at a crossroad where you really need help very urgently. You want to be able to seek out healthy healthy people, healthy communities, people that you can actually rely on, that can, give you the time of day to listen to you and just, give you some vital advice, or or even, support you or go with you to, seek the help that it is that they could walk you through, going down to a therapist, finding a therapist, going to the church, speaking with your pastor, or, just maybe actually take you to the hospital if it's that bad where you're, almost having a breakdown. They can actually drive you and take you to the hospital to be able to get that help that it is that you're looking for. So yes, we don't want to talk to people who would make us feel like a bother or feel like we are such a burden, and people who would shut us down. Those are not the kind of people we want to surround ourselves with. We want to surround ourselves with people who would just speak life into us and give us hope, and actually, take the responsibility to put the effort in to actually make sure that you get that help that you're looking for. And the last point I have here is giving ourselves enough grace. So yes, I feel like sometimes we as individuals can sometimes be so hard on ourselves, especially, high achievers, go-getters, people who are so driven, and, they are constantly wanting to achieve, great things. Sometimes if we you could be a lawyer or an attorney, you miss out on a case, and all of a sudden your world feels like it's crumbling. Or maybe you're a doctor and one of your patient dies, and you just take it so hard, and you're just so judgmental, so self-critical of yourself, and you just don't give yourself enough grace to know that, life happens even to the best of us, even the ones that we consider to be very competent and, perfect and can do no wrong. Everybody is human. We're all humans. So if we can understand the fact that we're all humans and we are not perfect individuals, so that means we are bound to make mistakes. So give yourself enough grace. If you make a mistake, sit back and figure, what could you have done better? I mean, is it something that could have been avoided? If it is, you just learn from that mistake, learn from that one event, and pick yourself, dust yourself up, and keep moving and keep trying to do better, moving forward. Don't stay down there, and just criticize yourself and shoot yourself in the foot. No, it's okay to fall, but it's best when you fall and you're able to dust yourself and keep pushing and know that, it is what it is. Life happens to the best of us. So if there's a mistake that occurred, or, some event negative occurrence that happened in our life, it's just one event. It doesn't define our whole entire existence. So, we being able to extend that same grace we would give to a friend or family member, or just maybe a stranger out there, we should learn to extend that same grace to ourselves and know that we are humans, and mistakes are sometimes inevitable. And when this happens, we just need to learn from it and just keep moving in life. And if we can extend ourselves those graces to our loved ones, why can't we extend it to ourselves? So yeah, these are the few points that I have, and I'm pretty sure there's so much more out there that you can learn, but you have to be willing to go out there to seek for the knowledge, to get more information out there. But never feel like your problem or your situation is the worst situation. Never feel like the world is out to get you or life is happening to you. Now, you'll be surprised if you speak up and you're able to share your problems with, someone that you trust and rely on. You'll be surprised they also are going through their own storm. It's just that everybody has a different way of tackling or dealing with the issues in their life. And some people come out as if life is a bed of roses, but no, they might just have a very good mask and just know how to mask it up because the society has told us that we are weak, or we are less than if we speak up. But this is the stigma that we're trying to break by creating more awareness for mental health and, suicide prevention, suicide awareness. So yes, please check on your loved ones. Be there for them as much as you can. If you're even the one that needs the help, try to reach out, try to have a great support system around you, and never go through life all on your own or deal with your struggles all by yourself. You're loved, you're cherished, and above all, God loves you. And I'm gonna put down in the comment section some free resources out there that you can find. And in case of emergency, or there are numbers, crisis line that you can contact, 988, and several list of other numbers, 911 if you are in a situation of danger and you just need help right away. But yes, I hope you learned a thing or two from this video. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Just stay tuned and have a blessed day and a blessed rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.